How did you come to be a part of Mafia Wars?
Well, it happened at South by Southwest. There was this pajama party. It was this like networking event for people in the industry here in Austin, and I met this producer, Sasha Yalan, who was the lead producer on the project, the lead American producer, and he told me about the project. And I don't know, whatever it was about my vibe or the way that I am, he was like, I've got this movie that's starting literally next month, and I think that I want you to read for it. And it was the role of Jack. And as soon as I read Jack, I was like, this is gonna be so much fun. This guy. So yeah, this is manic psychopath guy, Jack. It was just a joy to play. I'm so grateful I got to do this one.
I mean, this is your first foray into acting, correct? What
Yeah,
drew
this was my
you?
first film. Yeah.
Was this what drew you to be an actor?
Well, I'll tell you this, my the roles that I'm most drawn to are characters that have some sort of mental illness that they're dealing with, that they're struggling with. And that comes from my background, my family, growing up. Most of the people close to me in my family are actually have some form of diagnosed mental illness. Like my dad struggled with clinical depression, my brother with bipolar disorder. And so growing up, and my parents were divorced very young, so it was a very chaotic home that I grew up in. Playing these roles feels like home to me. It feels like I'm re-experiencing a part of my childhood. And so experiencing Jack, who quite literally has so much fun, like hurting other people, because he's just crazy. There's a sort of freedom in that, and it's obviously so different than the way that I am in real life, but yet it reminds me of just like nonsensical emotional outbursts that I was experiencing when I was very young. And so that's why Jack also just felt very exciting and personal for me.
Well, what background then did director writer Scott Winhauser give you as far as Jack, his background, and the siblings?
Yeah, yeah. With Griff, who's the character played by Cam Gigande, he's kind of the criminal mastermind. This Griff was always like my hero. Like he was always the big brother, the boss that I wanted to impress. I wanted to always be on his good side. But through with our father, who's referenced in the film, I was kind of like the fuck up. Like I was the one that was always creating issues or problems in the criminal enterprise that we ran together. And so he just wanted me to have that kind of like, I don't, I want to fucking dominate and destroy everybody else. But when it came to my brother, like he was my hero. He was the one that I looked up to and wanted to grow up and be like one day. So that was yes, of course, that's my key relationship in the film. And that's what he gave me for the backstory.
Well, the physicality for this is there as well. I was chatting and saying your smile in this. Did you do something physically to become and inhabit this person? Because the smile, I cannot, I cannot impress you enough how creepy it is seeing him just enjoy this. Did you do anything physically as far as to get yourself into that role, make yourself smile wider or your eyes, your expressions? Yeah.
Thank you for this question. No, I didn't do anything like training my face to move in particular ways, but I will say, growing up, my favorite actor was Jim Carrey. And what I loved about watching Jim, and I would watch movies of his and I would pause it and then replay it for like 10 seconds if I'd see him do something physically that was outlandish, which is frequent, right? In all the stuff that he did. Like my favorite movie is Dumb and Dumber. And I would just try to mimic him over and over and over, like the way that he moved his face in particular, like how he gave you so much in his facial expressions. Like he had more facial movement than any other actor that I'd ever seen. And so when I came to the role of Jack, what what I did before every take is I would like get myself super emotionally charged up because almost every scene that we see Jack in, he's experiencing a very strong emotion and he's not afraid to show that. He wants everyone around him to feel his presence. And so for me, the work, and this is the work of every artist, is like you want to most importantly attach yourself emotionally to what your character is going through. And then you let the physicality just take care of itself.
There's so many epic scenes to this movie. It's action packed. Is there one scene in particular you're most proud of the work you put into, or one that was memorable, most memorable for you?
Definitely the my opening scene in the film where the viewers will see it 5 minutes in. Uh, my scene with Tom, my scene where him and I buddy up. Tom Welling, who's played the lead. Um, that experience of just going absolutely ape shit in the prison was a total blast, and I'm proud of the work that I put in. There were other scenes later on, and I got to experience a wide variety of emotions as Jack, even in the screen time that I had. But that was my favorite.
Well, the cinematography is beautiful as well. Did you get to fly out to Europe and spend some time exploring these places offset?
Yeah, we shot everything in Rome, in or around Rome, which was my first time to Rome and had a great experience there. No, I explored other parts of the city. I didn't go back to the places that we these did these shoots, but I mean, Rome is so gorgeous. Like the Vatican, you get to go to the Vatican, the Colosseum. Like there's just there's so much history, so much rich history that you do not get in Austin, Texas, where I'm from. It's, it's like Austin
It's the
was a town that was
Alamo.
made 150 years ago, okay, not thousands. Yeah.
Well, yes, it's much newer historically than, say, Rome.
Yeah.
I have to ask you about working with Scott Windhauser because the direction in this, I'm sure he was very hands-on with you crafting Jack and that mentality he has.
Mm. Well, no, what I'll say about Scott, and I've since worked with a few other directors, so I always am really sensitive to what style a director has. Like, does he want to be really hands-on with each actor and how they play the role? Like, especially writer directors where it's their vision from the very beginning of this story. But Scott trusted me. He trusted all the actors. He was really available when I had questions, which I had more questions for him than he had initiating direction for me. Like whenever the way that he works is if he's going to cast you in the role, if you read for it, if he believes you, then he's going to trust that you have ideas that you're going to bring to it. And when we would do a take, if he wanted something more or less, then he would just give me that. He'd let me give it my choice first, like however I wanted to do it. And then he'd provide direction. Hey, a little bit more here, a little bit less here. So I loved working with Scott, and I hope we'll get to again.
What's next for you? What of the other films and projects you've been busy working on?
Well, some of them I can't announce yet because they're not like for certain, but there's a set two films that I have with Sasha that should shoot before the end of this year. Um, one will shoot in the UK and then the other will shoot in Missouri. And and then I'll have most likely one other film that's shooting in Hungary. Like it's been interesting. Like ever since this film is now coming out, it's coming out tomorrow. Um, it's been cool seeing more opportunities come because as you said, this is my first film. I did a lot of theater growing up and but then this was my first foray into the industry, so to speak. So looking forward to more soon.